All right. So, my name is Esteban Bazan, English 1A, and this is an interview of my grandpa about his story and
Your
how he
grandpa.
lived it. My grandpa. All right. So, my first question: how was your life? How was your view on life changed from your struggles?
Well, if there's struggles, you just have to overcome them and just to work on whatever you're struggling on and make the best of that struggle. So no matter what situation it is, you could always do better. It could always get better. It can't get worse.
Yeah.
You always have to have your mind thinking about it's going to get better. So eventually, it'll probably get better. If not, you have to work on it harder or get some kind of help to advice from other people to overcome that kind of struggle. And so it's good to talk to other people and find out how to overcome struggles.
What were your struggles?
What are my struggles?
Yeah, like throughout your life, what were your struggles?
Oh, well, my first struggle in life was college. I was in college. I was a AB student, but my struggle was I didn't have any transportation to go to college, and there was no public transportation, so I was walking every day, 20 miles,
20 miles?
20 miles a day from my house to the college back home for 2 years straight.
How long did that take? Going 20 miles.
Probably 4 hours, 3 hours. I'm not too sure.
Oh my gosh.
But
That's
I'd
something
start
like,
early and then come back home. I'd be late. The sun would be down already when I'm coming home.
wow. That's truly something I have never gone through, and I don't think I ever will.
Well,
Wow.
there's public transportation now, so if you
Yeah.
don't have transportation, there's always the public transportation you could get on.
Wow, that's actually so surprising. Wow. So, yeah, I know life, well, since you're older now, you've gone through a whole bunch of lessons with your life. What was the most important to you?
Most important was my kids, my grandkids, and having a roof over our head. It's, my kids and grandkids, they've all come out pretty good. I'd like to say that they're having a better life than I am, and having a roof over my head. Well, for the first 20 years of being married, was always renting, but at my last marriage, we were able to afford a house, and so now we do have a roof over our head.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, what kind of lessons did you learn throughout your life? Like, I don't know, from your skills and jobs.
Well, it's I'm probably like you'd call a jack of all trades. I've been in the um, restaurant business. I've been in uh, the stores. I've been at the hospital um, as a maintenance, and I've worked as janitorial. Right now, I'm janitorial, and so I'm really comfortable with that. I think that's the most comfortable job I've had, and I'm pleased with what I'm doing now. And so all the other jobs, it was like just going through the phases, just going through the steps, and just making that check. Um, so I was not really interested in any of the other jobs, but now that I'm working in janitorial, it's rewarding for me. It's the one thing about it is I don't have anybody over my shoulder, like watching what I'm doing. I'm on my own. I do what I have to do, and nobody's. If I get complaints, well, I have to correct the complaints I get. But moreover, everybody's satisfied with the job I'm doing.
That's cool. That's very cool. Um, so, what were your goals in life? And what drove them to you?
My goals in life were just get into mathematics, something in mathematics. I like mathematics. I've been in algebra, geometry, trigonometry, but calculus was a little bit harder. I was not able to understand it. So the most I got it was the trigonometry. But it's nice because numbers do a lot for you, and you could figure things out with numbers, with the angles, with the circumference. You could draw things with numbers. It's with numbers you could even draw a flower.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what you could do with numbers. I really like
So,
arithmetic.
sorry. So your goal was to be proficient at math,
Yeah,
because
math is awesome, but it's because of I had got married early in life at 22. I was not able to keep going into math. Had to raise a family and feed the household, and so I got away from math at 22 and never went back.
never went back. Would you want to go back?
Oh, sure. Sure. When I finish raising my grandkids, because they're having trouble in math, and so I'm helping them with their arithmetic and little stuff like that. But eventually, I'll probably get them to get into algebra, geometry, trig, like I have.
That's really cool. How was your childhood?
Childhood?
Yeah.
Oh, childhood was amazing. It's you're outside playing all day, all afternoon. Your parents are calling you to come in and eat. That's the only time we'd come into the household is to eat. But we were always playing outside, basketball, football. We'd play, what is it? Volleyball. I liked volleyball also. We'd have to go to the park to play volleyball, but it was amazing. Our childhood was really active. Everybody in the neighborhood would come out and play and stay out all day long.
That's cool. How's your childhood, raise you from there? Like, it was your stepping stone. And how has it guided you and given you your inspiration?
Well, my childhood, for inspiration, I didn't have any inspiration because I didn't have a father growing up. My father was gone half my life, and so I was always looking up to my mom, and I was seeing her problems of paying bills and being in debt and not having a vehicle, and so there was not much inspiration while I was growing up. Inspiration came in school. The school was amazing. That's where I got my inspiration.
Yeah, and this is where it led you to go to college. That's cool.
Right.
For your accomplishments, what were they? And
Well, the first thing I got into was construction. I was able to move up from being a laborer to being a plaster man, and also building a house from the ground up.
oh, that's
And
cool.
so like I say, I've been in a jack of all trades, and so I have a lot under my belt in the work area.
Yeah. Any personal accomplishments that are out of work and out of family that you really enjoyed?
Well, my personal accomplishments would be just reading a little bit and getting into a little bit of math. I'll read and go to the library and read and just keep my mind busy and just give nourishment to my mind.
That's nice. So you're always keeping yourself knowledgeable and always literate. So you're always prepared.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I've accomplished a lot in my life, and I'm not streetwise. I've been on the streets, but I was just there for just a couple years with my friends from high school, and I realized that that's not the place to be. The place to be is at home studying or at a school studying, but the streets are not for intelligence.
That's cool. That's really cool that you learned that. Like for me, that's why I learned too. A lot of kids that come from the streets are less than intelligent, and it's sad to see. It's cool to know that that wasn't your way of wanting to grow up and be in. It was a bad influence for you, and you always had a mind that you wanted to keep on learning,
Right.
on learning and
Right, because during my school years, I had lost a few friends from doing things that they weren't supposed to do. They were in trouble all the time, and they'd lose their lives by doing dumb stuff. And so that's what I saw, and I said to myself, well, that's not what I want to be. I don't want to be in their footsteps. I want to make a difference.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So, what was your biggest regret of life?
Biggest regret is not staying in school, not accomplishing my goals in math and getting into some kind of field in math. Because at the time when I was in school and math, it was a area where hardly anybody was in math or trig or algebra, and so there was a lot of opportunities at that time, and I never took advantage of those opportunities.
Man, that's crazy. Like, there's a whole bunch of things that you did, and like a whole bunch of work that you've been into. To know that your biggest regret is from school is honestly like eye-opening for people who don't think like they should go to school, because
Yeah,
it's like
school is awesome.
yeah, it really is. That's I like school too, and I'm really enjoying it right now. So
School opens up doors. That's the only place where you could learn stuff that doors will open up for you. Being out in the streets, you get closed doors. Every time you turn around, somebody's closing the door. It's no, you're not educated. You don't know the business. You're not trained, and so doors are always closing if you're out in the streets.
no, that's good to know. Good to understand, and to know that that you had to go through that and see it is crazy, but not crazy, but like stunning. And it's something that not a lot of people see because they're sheltered from it,
Right.
or they're in different circumstances. How was your middle years? Your 30s, 40s, 50s. Well, your 50s was like 10 years ago.
Well, I've always been working. It's putting food on the table, paying rent. I've always had a job. Like I say, a jack of all trades. If I didn't have an opportunity in one area, I'd go to another area, and I was always able to hold a job. I was never unemployed.
That's nice. Well, what would be something that other than your school would have gone into, like sports, or being in some sort of friendship or something like that?
Well, my sports is I like tennis. Tennis is awesome. I'm looking at tennis right now, even as we're having this interview, and so tennis is awesome, and it's not really that hard of a sport. You're not really running around a lot. You're in one place all the time, and you could always find a partner to play tennis. It's just you don't need the whole gang of people to be in that sport. So it's good. You could always find somebody to be a partner on tennis.
That's cool. What kind of like objects or things would you want in life? Like, I don't know, a boat, or I don't know, living like a nice antique?
Well, I did want, and I could have had a rock that was crystal clear, and it had little lines in it, different lines like yellow, white, blue. It had lines in the clear rock, and so I was gonna buy that at a secondhand store, and it was $10. I had $10 to buy it, and but the cashier wasn't there to tend me, so I was walking around in the store, and so when I came back to the cashier, this guy bought the rock in front of me.
Oh, wow.
So I wasn't able to get that rock. It was really awesome. It was like as big as a big egg, maybe 2-3 inches big, and oval, and it was cost $10 at the secondhand store. At right now, its value is over $60,000.
Wow. Wow. Imagine having a beautiful stone like that and getting it for cheap and then realizing over time it grew in value. That's crazy. But honestly, I would get a stone like that for just to have it. It was nice, you know, it was something you wanted.
Yeah.
It's like they literally bought it right in front of you.
Yeah, and the guy that bought it, he didn't have any money on him. He was actually, I guess he had his kids that day. He was probably divorced and had his 2 kids with him, and he asked both of the kids for their $5 that their mom gave him. And so both boys gave the dad the $5 and $5. That was the $10, and with that money he bought the rock. So actually, he got lucky that his sons had money, or it would have been my rock.
Oh man, that's honestly so funny and how ironic. So there's been a lot of events that have happened before my time, world events like Osama bin Laden. You know, he got bombed. I don't think I was alive at that time or much. Well, for those kinds of world events, well, what are your thoughts about them?
Well, I'm an ex-hippie from the 60s.
Really?
I don't believe in war, and so I didn't register to go to the war. I didn't enlist, and my brother didn't enlist, and there was over 2 million of us teenagers that would not enlist in the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And so the president at that time said, well, we're going to put everybody in jail who didn't enlist. And so they took 4 kids, 4 teenagers to court and put them in jail. And so they only needed 1,900,096 more kids to put in jail. They didn't have enough jails for all of us, and so they gave those 4 kids amnesty, and they give all of us 2 million kids amnesty also.
What is amnesty?
A free ticket, to is not going to jail.
Oh, okay, nice. A literal get out of jail free card.
Yeah, a free ticket to go stay out of jail.
Oh man.
But yeah, that's we protested, and we actually won. We actually won the protest. We didn't go to jail, and we never enlisted in the army, in the armed forces, because we don't believe in war.
Man, your life will be so different if you were forced to go, if you were drafted into it, because the Vietnam War was gruesome.
Well, everybody was drafted, but we would not enlist. We would not acknowledge the draft.
Man, imagine being forced to go, like as in World War II, where the last generation of 20s and young kids like that were just gone. Now they're now a part of the soil and everything like that.
Yeah.
It is cool to know that you became a hippie.
Yeah,
you're
it's,
you're a hippie, man.
that was going to be an over 20 year war. So it was going to last until the 90s, that war. That's how many people that were involved, and that's how many people we were going to fight. That they had a lot of people to fight against us,
Yeah. What about the Cold War?
generation after generation. That was my dad's era. I'm not sure about
Okay.
that.
Okay. I forgot what time the Cold War was.
Yeah.
So you weren't in those. You weren't in the big major wars that led to plenty of deaths. Well, the Vietnam War was a big one. That's cool to hear, think about. So you didn't acknowledge other wars and events like that, like Afghanistan war. What do you think about that?
No, it's I just don't put on the news. I don't listen to news about wars. It's just it's not in my
Interest.
my interest. Yeah,
That's cool. So then, how were your hippie days?
hippie days is smoking weed every day, day and night, 24/7. It was pretty cool. I liked it.
Did you travel around and have those stereotypical hippie, trailers around and everything like that? Or I know a lot of people were like that. A lot of people wanted to explore. What did you do?
No, I was here at the house. It's the hippies would come over here to explore, and so our whole town was actually filled with hippies. At every fountain that the bank fountains, water fountains that they had in front of their stores, that's where the hippies would take baths.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah, because they were not home, and that's the only water that they could find was the fountains in front of the banks. And so we were always looking at hippies taking baths there in town. So I didn't have to take a bath in town. I was home. I take a shower at the house.
Okay, I'm like, man, it would have been funny and very interesting to know if like you were a part of them, like taking baths like that. Oh, I wonder how they think about it now. Be like, oh yeah, I was here at this time of year, and oh, I was at this town. I just like took off my clothes and took a bath there.
Oh yeah. It was the era of the hippies.
Era of the hippies. I actually want to be in a era like
My
that.
hair was down to my shoulder length.
Yeah.
I had really long hair at that time. So I was part of the group. I was considered a hippie.
Man, imagine unironically having long hair and being mistaken as a hippie.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it's honestly super cool knowing that you're a hippie. So you're a jack of all trades, and you've already stated a few jobs. I want to know a wider range of jobs that you did and your experiences with them.
Well, it's being in the restaurant business is hard because you're always moving and you're never stopping. There's no time for rest and there's no time for breaks, and so actually sometimes you're not even having lunch. And in the store business, retail, it's, that one's pretty awesome because you're making your own stands, and you're putting out merchandise, and you're trying to sell that merchandise to the public. So you're trying to make it as presentable as you can, and that was kind of awesome. You're trying to get the customers to shop at your store instead of somebody else's store. Then construction, there's it was just hard labor. 'cause you had to be strong. You had to be physical. You had to be. You couldn't be weak. You had to be strong and to do the work in construction. And at that time, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was considered um, the right age for construction on strength, because I was out of work at one time, and I called a construction company to get a job, and I was 44 years old, and so so I was still healthy, and um, the person on the other line asked me, "Well, how old are you?" I go, "I'm 44," and said, "But I'm experienced. I know how to do the job that you're looking for." And he goes, "Oh no, we're looking for 20, 30-year-olds." So actually, I was aced out because of my age.
Well, that's good because with older age you could get hurt way more
Yeah,
easily.
sure.
Imagine lifting beams with other people, but with your age, your back could give in,
Oh yeah,
or
you could get a bad back or whatever. Yeah.
shoulder could like get out of place. It's pretty good that he didn't take you in because you're a good person now. You're really healthy. You're very active, and you've been very healthy for a long time. And I always not appreciate that. I always like that to know that you're gonna be here a while.
Well, the thing about that is that the reason I'm healthy is because I would walk off jobs in construction that would ask you to do dumb things or things that were dangerous, and I would tell them, no, I can't do that. This is I can't do that. I'm going to get hurt, and so I would walk off jobs because I'd feel that I would get hurt or somebody else would get hurt doing in that situation. And actually, I walked off a job that was like $24 an hour. The manager told me, "You'll never find a job for $24 an hour." In 1989, $24 an hour was a lot of
A
money.
lot, yeah.
And so I says, "Well, it's all right. I don't need the job. I need to be healthy." And so I walked off the job. And so I had told my friends, and I told them at work, I says, "Hey, you know what? You guys are going to get hurt with this guy. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it's going to be dangerous for you to stay here." And so I saw my friends 2 years later, and he wasn't working anymore. He said he got hurt, that he was off the job for 2 years with that company that I walked off the job. And so he was hurt. He was off for 2 years, and a friend of his that was working there actually got hurt for life.
Wow.
Yeah, so they should have walked off the job at the time I walked off the job, because they didn't want to walk off the job because of the money. They said they've never seen so much money before, and I go, "Well, money's not everything. Your health is more important than money."
Oh yeah.
And so the guy says, my friend says, "Oh yeah, you're right. Now, I'm struggling to put food on the table, and the guy that got me hurt, he's not helping me. The company's not helping me." I go, "Well, I told you, you're gonna get hurt over here, and you're not gonna get help." He says, You're right, Mike. That's what happened." So yeah.
Yeah, you learned the hard way. And that's cool. You're vigilant in that. You take care of your body like that. That's awesome.
And so I've walked off several jobs. If I didn't like the conditions of the job, I would just walk off. This isn't for me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's smart. I think that's what a lot of people nowadays don't do, or it's either like they don't work or don't want to work, or they work and are miserable with it. People don't realize that you could walk off a job and
Yeah, find something else that you're comfortable with,
yeah,
for sure.
and that's what you've done with your life. You chose and you've driven your life. You weren't
Right.
you weren't a sheep.
No, I wasn't staying in one position. I was always looking for something better.
That's awesome. So, throughout your time of life, you have plenty of friends, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I go into town and I see friends from the restaurants that I worked at. It's hi Mike, or and the retail hi Mike, and construction hi Mike. I got plenty of friends.
Well, with that wide range of friends, how many people do you have to cut out of your life?
How many what?
How many people did you have to cut or separate from your life because of circumstances?
Oh well, mostly it's construction because the construction friends they're usually going to the bars and they're looking for girls, and so I've always been married all my life, so I'm not looking for girls, and I'm not looking to be in bars. I'm ready to go home afterward.
Yeah. Well, what made you want to marry and stick with being married? Like, you're the type of person to want to be with one person?
Well, it's the reason I did get married the first time was because all my friends were getting married, and so I was the only single person, and so there's a saying in Spanish that if you don't get married, the fruit's gonna spoil. And so I was thinking about that. I go, I better get married. I'm gonna, it's gonna be a time where I won't be able to get married, so I might as well get married now. And so that was mostly the reason why I got married, because all my friends were already married.
No, that's really cool to know. Honestly, like my choice of marrying, I don't know if I even would want to marry. Would be if I would choose someone very special. You know, typical marrying stuff. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, like hearing how different the the sayings and their motives are from each different person is really cool to know. I barely knew much of you, and now I'm learning a lot of you.
Uh-huh. Sure. Yeah, so it's marriage wasn't really in the cards, but then I was I was starting to become lonely. My friends weren't coming out anymore, so well, it's time to get married.
Oh man, uh, what's it called? Well, back to the world topic thing. You went through 9/11. Well, what was your reaction and
On what?
on 9/11, the twin towers falling?
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction with it, and how did that affect you?
Well, it's not a good situation. The twin towers. It's they tried taking the twin towers out a couple years before that. They failed, and so this the twin tower situation. I think it was rigged. Is a lot of people say they could hear explosions in every 2, 3 levels, all the way up to the top when the planes crashed. So um, I think it was set up because it they had help with bombs and every other and the other level that it was. I think that the government was trying to get the people upset to go to war, but instead it backfired. Nobody went to war because of the twin towers.
That's interesting. I like your view on it. I wouldn't have thought about that or have heard of that because it is just so far beyond my time. It was literally when I was born, and I didn't have no recollection, or even when I was old enough to comprehend who I was, there was no information or anything like that about 9/11. It's cool to hear the stories about the war and how you grew up. How different do you think it is now compared to you growing up?
Now, when I was growing up, as we were we were falling into illiteracy. As people were starting not to go to college, not to get an education. Um, so we're becoming illiterate, and now at this time right now we are like down on the bottom of the totem pole on the literacy. Our government, our kids are illiterate, and the reason because of that is they're not exercising, they're not outside playing, and they're on their Game Boys all day, and that's all they know is games and no exercise, and their mind's not growing, and they're not healthy. They're overweight, and actually we're really in a poor condition right now, the whole United States.
It really is. And yeah, I honestly agree with you. Like the whole thing about people just focusing on social media, being on their phones and the internet drives people away from ambitions that will have them grow as a person
Right.
with
There you
their
go.
knowledge of skills and even reading, because people don't read books anymore. All they read are just small little titles and just listen to things. They people lose their sets of skills, and knowing that you yourself want an education is really nice. And I think
Thank you.
I think that concludes our interview. Honestly.
All right.